Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
Sam Healey, what's up, folks?
Today we're taking a look at Assault of the Giants. This is from WizKids, designed by Andrew Parks. It is based in the Dungeons & Dragons universe, and until a few months ago, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It kind of, they started talking about this game where there were giants attacking each other, and I was like, well, that sounds pretty cool.
Yes.
And if you remember, this was on your most anticipated 2017.
Yes.
And at the time I said, well, if everyone's a giant, then no one's a giant.
Yes.
But the game actually deals with that particular situation.
It does.
Now, there are two versions of the game. There is a normal version and then the deluxe version. The version I'm showing you is a deluxe one. That is where the miniatures come pre-painted. Mm-hmm. They don't, but I think they're different colors based on the giant race in the game. So I think either one of those would be fine. Here's how you play it. The goal of Assault of the Giants is to get the most ordning points, and so there's different point tokens of various values, and you're going to have a pile of these points. You're going to have two piles, a larger pile and a small pile. When both piles of points have been taken, then the game is over. When the larger pile is taken, you are able to have your home region attacked. Until that point, nobody can come into your home region. So each player is going to have a home region, and in their home region, they're going to have their leader. This is a big disc. They're going to have some of their normal-sized units. I guess they're giants, but, like regular giants. And then they'll start with a champion, which is a plastic figure. So we have the hill giants. We have the storm giants. We have the cloud giants. We have the ice frost giants, the fire giants, and the stone giants. Each one of them has different goals and things that they are trying to do. If you look at the figures on them, this is how much damage they will do. That's how many dice they will roll. This is their hit points, and this is their ordning cost, which is if you defeat them, you're going to get that many ordning points, and that's how much deployment points it costs to put them out on the table. They also have a wounded side, which will sometimes and more likely possibly change their stats. So these are the different starting positions. If you're playing with less than 6 players, you're still going to have some things on the board kind of as neutral giants. There are various ways to get points over the course of the game. Sometimes you do that by attacking. Maybe some giants are in one region and other giants are going to attack that region and fight each other. And you're going to be doing so by rolling dice. There are some generic dice that every giant will roll, but each giant also has a die that matches their color and has specific sides on it. And you're going to be fighting in combat against each other. Combat is pretty simple. Each side's going to roll their dice. You're going to roll dice equal to the total attack value of your giants, a maximum of 7. You're going to count up your clubs, that's your attack, subtract your opponent's shields, which is their defense, the ones that they've rolled, and then these symbols can possibly change into attack or defense based on different cards that are played, and you do damage. You can take damage on a character. If it's not enough to kill them, it will simply flip them over. But if it is enough to kill them, you remove them from the board, and you'll get points equal to them. Your champions, the plastic figures, do not have actual stats on them. But, like, for example, here's a stone giant champion. Each person has a card that shows the stats of their champion. And there is a possibility of having lots of different champions. There's some more rules involved in combat, but we're not going to dwell on them there. But basically, you're going to fight a round of combat and see if you can kill anybody or not. The game revolves around command cards. Each faction, these are the fire giants, gets a set of command cards that are mostly the same, although each faction has a very specific command card for them. On a player's turn, and turns will just go around the table until the game is over, you're going to pick a card from your hand. So maybe I'm going to play an attack card, or maybe I'm going to play a move card. When you play a card, you put that card in front of you. you do the top thing. So for example, this move card here says make 4 unit maneuvers. That means I can move one of my giants 2 spaces and 2 other giants 1 space, or 1 giant 4 spaces. You can't attack with this card, you're just moving around. But the bottom part lets me make an extra move for every card that is to the left of this. So if it's my first card, it doesn't do anything, but it can do more things as time goes by. For example, I play this one. This is 3 recruit points. I have to use the cost of the giants, so maybe I want to bring out a couple giants, and the recruit cost of a fire giant is 3. So I get to spend 3. I can bring one of them out, but this lets me spend an extra one for each card to the left. So in this case, I would have 4 that I would be able to put out. So as you play these cards in front of you, the later you wait to play a card, the better it's going to be. Here, Plunder, I get to draw resource cards. There are various resource cards that are included with the game. Some are weapons that can be used in combat. Some are artifacts that will help make spells better. Some are runes that you need to accomplish missions. And some is food that can give you more recruitment points. The hill giants also tend to like food a lot. There's attack. This is an attack, and you'll notice that when I play this, I can attack someone who's adjacent to me. And if you play this, for each card to the left of it, you can change one of these magical symbols into 2 clubs. So the longer you wait to attack, the more powerful your attack can be. You can trade with someone else. When you trade with someone else, you give them a certain number of resources, and they have to give you the same number back. And you can trade an extra resource here for each card that's to the left. Then you have a leader card. Each player has a leader card. When you do this, you will activate the special ability that's on your leader card in front of you. And this one has something to the right. So this one, for the number of cards to the right, whenever he's in a battle, I get to re-roll one of the dice. Magic lets you draw spell cards. There's a pile of spell cards. Each of these spell cards is broken into 2 parts. Like for example, Fireball here. I can play this during a battle to add 3+. But if I have an artifact, I can use that to get 5+, because it then becomes Meteor Swarm. So there's all different spells that are in the game. Then, like I said, each person has a special one. So this one has a Forged Titan, where this person will get ordning points for each place where they have a Slain Dragon marker. Some of the different factions have different tokens, like Alliance or Slain Dragons or Ravage or Frozen, that they will be placing on the board, and it's a way to get points. Each faction has like a very different way. Like the Hill Giants are trying to get food and eat food, and the Stone Giants are just trying to destroy and ravage the different areas on the board. And each of them is going to get points in different ways. At some point, though, when you're playing these cards, you're going to want to play the Rest card. The Rest card lets you take all the cards back into your hand. It lets you heal a wounded unit, and it lets you take Giant Slayer actions. Now, there are 3 Giant Slayers included with the game. We have Line, we have Hook, and we have Sinker. And each of these Giant Slayer characters comes with their own miniature that they will be moving around on the board, and you'll be attacking giants with. And they each also have special abilities. So this is a way to get these, to use them just to go into territories where other giants are, attack them, maybe kill weaker giants or whatever. And you do that every time you rest. So that's basically the game in a nutshell. Like I said, you're going to be putting people out on the board. Each unit has different things that they're trying to do. But there's one last thing that gets you points, and that is events. Now, each player has 1 or more events. Here are the Fire Giant events that you need to accomplish. To accomplish an event, you need to meet the requirements. Here it's none. That's fine. And you also have to get rid of, discard a rune of the matching type on the bottom. You do so, you get the rewards for ordning points, and then reveal the next Fire Giant. And you need to do whatever the requirements are here, and discard a yellow. And then you need to do the requirements here and discard a red. And these are events. Some of the giant races have only 1. Some giants have 3. But there are also events next to the board where basically, as long as you're controlling these regions, you can get the ordning points on them. 5 ordning points, and there also might be some other rewards, but usually you just simply need to control them. However, you can only claim an event at the beginning of your turn, so you need to control it and hold on to it. Events are marked on the board. You can see there's one here in the High Moor. That's just so everyone knows where the areas are that you control, and you can fight over them to get points. The number of points that are available in a game is dependent on the number of players, and when it runs out, everyone's going to get one final turn, and whoever has the most ordning points is the winner. Okay, well, there's really a lot to talk about here, and note that I didn't go over every minor rule in the game. There's just a lot going on. But component quality. Now, Sam's a big miniatures guy. What do you think
Yes.
about the miniatures / the paint jobs?
The paint jobs are good. I would not say that they are great, but they are good. They're decent. They provide enough of the thematic envelope that you're looking for as far as painting is concerned.
Have you ever seen a great paint job on a game that's published in the store? I don't think that's...
No, I mean, you gotta understand that these are coming out of basically, a painting factory where one person is... If I'm understanding it correctly, one person is doing one thing and then they passes on and another person does another thing. And so it's never going to be...
What did you do today, honey? I painted beards.
As good as... I don't think it's ever going to be as good as somebody taking their game and painting it themselves. It's never going to be that good. But it is good enough for a deluxe version straight out of the factory miniatures painted.
Regardless of that, though, the models themselves are really cool.
Yeah.
They're really neat. They certainly feel giant. They're big figures.
Yes.
And I like that they have the giant hunters in there just to drive that home.
Yeah, because the giant hunters are like, this tall. And the other miniatures are this tall. So it's really cool. They have the scale on point.
I was a little surprised when we first got the game out. I thought that every giant was like a miniature, but only your champions are miniatures. Everything else is basically a disc.
Right.
That's for the best. I mean, I don't think you could fit all those miniatures on a board anyway. They'd have to all be smaller if you had that many giants.
Or the board would have to be bigger, which is another footprint problem. So.
And the stats are right on the giants. In fact, for the champions, you'll be constantly looking at the card to see what their stats are. But I like the components. I thought the board was pretty clear.
Yep.
The graphic design looks good. I recognize some of the names, from the different, D&D locales.
Yeah. Icewind Dale was one that was the one that stood out for me. I remember that one. I don't remember any of the other ones.
I believe they made a whole universe based on this region. And each of the giants has some kind of lore to them, which I also like. They have a different feel to them. And it's funny to see the hill giants are kind of like weenie giants compared to the rest.
Right. Yeah, I liked how it was, the races were asymmetrical. I really liked that.
Very much so.
And it definitely gives each of the different people a different feel for the game. It's not... it does not feel like you're playing a solitaire-ish type game. You have your own kind of mission, objective that you're trying to accomplish. Your races feel different than everybody else's. It really is cool that way, and that's one of the main things that I like about it.
Yeah, each of the races, there's a stacking limit on the board of how many they have. So you go from the weakest hill giants up to the storm giants were the biggest. But they each have, like the hill giants are all about spreading out and getting food. The stone giants are about ravaging different areas. The frost giants are about freezing things and causing mess. The fire guys are like killing dragons, which is cool. And building this giant golem that will show up. The I already mentioned the stone giants. The storm giants they're the biggest ones, right? They're rescuing the king. They have two different champion figures. When the king comes out, he just whoops up on everybody.
Yeah.
The cloud giants, are they called cloud giants?
Yes.
Cloud giants, they have a mobile base where they're deploying from. Most people, to deploy in their home territory, they can deploy anywhere. So that's kind of cool. And there's one more giant, which I got all the giants.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's neat, right? You can go in and say, I'm going to try this giants out. And you really have to play them differently.
Yeah.
What did you think about combat?
Combat was okay, I guess. That was one of the, I guess, detracting factors for me, because I didn't like how your champion could suck up all of the damage. I just didn't like that rule, and I need to play the game more to see if it's going to be a bigger issue for me than it is right now. Because right now it's just kind of a minor annoyance, but having your champion being able to suck up every single bit of damage, as long as it doesn't go over that threshold of how much damage they can take to kill them, is, I don't know, it just seems like a thematic disconnect to me, because it basically means that you didn't do any damage that round, even though you may have done a lot of damage. Nobody else gets hurt, just your champion does. And I know they're trying to say that it's because your champion's out front and all that kind of stuff.
Shrugs it off.
But see, that's the thing, my entire army isn't where he is. I would be putting my army on other, I don't know, it just seems like
you don't have to attack where the champion is too, so there's that.
True, but usually if you play right, you have a champion, that's who you use to go into battle because he's a big meat shield. So, I don't know, it just seems like a thematic disconnect for me, and I didn't really like it right now. As I said, it's just a minor annoyance, but it might fester.
I don't mind that at all. I like the idea of having, I don't feel like these are armies as much as it's a few giants all running at each other.
Yeah.
I thought the combat was decently good. You roll dice and see, you compare things. It was fine. It wasn't like spectacular, but it wasn't that long either, right? It's easy to figure out who hits who. What I really did like is the card play. I'm a huge fan of games where you play a card, and then you play a card that gets them all back in your hand. And this one takes that up a notch by when you play a card, it affects when you play it matters. So if I play move card first turn, I can move a little bit. I wait till there's 5 other cards, you can move all over the place.
Right.
That's a good concept.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that as well. And it does have its downfalls, its pitfalls, because you get into that thing of, wow, I can set up this whole long chain of combos, and you only get to really cycle your cards once per game. Whereas if you play shorter combinations, like 3 or 4 cards maybe, and then pull all those back up and then try a different combination, you have a little bit more variety in your gameplay and a little bit more freedom in your gameplay. But the trap, I guess you could say, is wanting to get that huge, long, really cool combination, but you're only really going to be able to pull that off once, maybe. So that's kind of the tension that's there as far as the card play is concerned. I did enjoy it. I like that mechanism a lot. You just got to be careful.
The game itself is not a very long game. We're talking 2 hours maximum, I think. It's going to be longer the more players you have.
Right.
But I was pretty happy with that. The points are there, they go away, and also you're like, whoa, the points are almost gone. And the different ways of getting points, there's the obvious area control, but you also have your own missions, again, which kind of specifies who's what. How balanced are the factions? We'd have to play it a lot more, I guess, to tell you that they feel balanced. It feels like anyone can win. Obviously the Storm Giants are like huge and, they're hard to kill. But when you do kill them, you get a pile of points.
Right, and there's they only have a stacking limit of 3, so it's not like there's going to be a whole bunch of them in one province.
Right, they're not invincible. So overall, I was really happy with it. It doesn't. Sometimes when I get somebody, oh man, there's going to be some rough edges. I don't feel like there's any rough edges. The whole thing has come together. It has magic spells. It has card play. It has simple combat. It's kind of like a dudes on a map, people going around fighting each other. Not a lot of those games come out every year, honestly, with miniatures especially. There's very few of them. That are this kind of not light but medium weight. They're usually very heavy games, or they're a Risk clone. This is not either. This one has some thoughtful design behind it, some pretty strong theme. So I'm going to give this 1.5 giant thumbs up. Those are severed thumbs that the Giant Slayer's got. By the way, I love the Giant Slayer thing. So I'm holding a big thumb up.
Okay, a huge thumb.
That I cut off of a hill giant.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that big then. It's more like this.
You shut up.
Okay. I'm going to go with, I'll also give it 1.5 lightning bolts up. And that is because, again, there were that combat mechanism that I'm not really savvy with right now. That's that other half a thumb that's kind of in limbo right now. If I liked the combat a little bit more, then I would go ahead and give it a full 2 thumbs up. But just a 1.5 thumbs right now, lightning bolt and a half for Assault of the Giants.
We played this live on our channel, so if you want to see a full game of it to see how that works, you can check that out.
Please do.
Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
Sam Healey, see you on the flip side.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.